Hello students, next till fourth problem I have shown how to solve this. Okay, now fifth problem which you have to solve. Okay, from the following ledger balance is prepared trial balance as on 31/3/2012. So capital account which shows credit balance, so you are going to record it in a credit column. Drawings account, debit column because it is an expense. Creditors account, credit column because it is a liability. Bills payable account, credit column because it is a liability. Debtors account, asset, so debit. Bills receivable asset, so debit. Loan to Samarth, it is asset, so debit. Furniture account, asset, so debit. Stock account, asset, so debit balance. Then cash at office, debit balance. Cash at bank, debit balance. Then bank overdraft, liability, so credit balance. Purchases account, expense, so debit balance. Freight account, expense, so debit balance. Sales account, revenue, so credit balance. Salary account, debit balance. Return inwards, nothing but sales returns. Okay, sales returns also called as return inwards here, so which shows debit balance. Purchase returns, return outwards means what it is, purchase returns. Okay, which shows credit balance. Trade expenses, as it is expense, debit balance. Traveling expense, debit balance. Rent account, expense it is, so debit balance. Discount received, it is income, so it is credit balance. Okay, total answer how much you should get, 2,10,100. After preparing trial balance, both side grand total you should get 2,10,100. Then sixth problem, from the following ledger balances prepare trial balance as on 31/3/2016. So capital account which shows credit balance, so stock account, debit balance. Motor car account, asset, so debit. Discount received, income, so credit. Bad debts, loss, so debit. Then sales account, revenue, so credit. Cash at bank, debit because it is asset. Return inwards, as I said, return inwards nothing but it is sales returns, so debit balance. Purchases, debit balance. Machinery asset, debit balance. Furniture asset, debit balance. Wages expense, so debit balance. Creditors liability, so credit balance. Salary account, expense, so debit balance. Commission received, income, so credit balance. Return outwards means what it is, purchase returns, so credit balance. Cash in hand, debit balance because the asset. Rent expense, so debit balance. Discount allowed, okay, debit balance because it is a loss. Carriages expense, so debit balance. Debtors asset, so debit balance. General expenses, debit balance because it is a asset, sorry, expenses. Then loan from Rajesh, it is a liability, so creditors. See, loan to means it is asset. Okay, loan from means we have collected the loan we have taken, then it is a liability, so credit balance. Whenever loan we have given to somebody else, it is asset. Okay, then it shows debit balance. And now here it is credit balance because we have taken a loan from him. Then advertisement, as it is an expense, which shows us debit balance. And after preparing this sixth trial balance, answer you should get 76,700. Okay. The next you have, from the following ledger account balances prepare trial balance as on 31/3/2015. So capital account which shows credit balance because it is a capital. Then land and building asset, so debit balance. Bank overdraft liability, so credit balance. Purchases account, expense, so debit balance. Plant and machinery account, asset, so debit balance. Sales returns, okay, debit balance. Creditors liability, credit balance. Wages expenses, debit balance. Discount earned, it is credit balance because it is an income. Discount allowed, debit balance because it is a loss. Then purchase returns, credit balance. Furniture asset, debit balance. Bills payable liability, so credit balance. Salary account, expenses, so debit balance. Investment, it is a asset, so debit balance. Drawings account, it is a personal expense of the proprietor, so debit balance. Bills receivable account, debit balance because it is a expense, sorry, asset. Okay, then expenses account, debit. Debtors account, asset, so debit balance. Advertisement expense, so debit balance. After preparing of this trial balance, here it is continuation. Okay, seventh problem, opening stock, debit balance. Opening stock nothing but stock account, asset it is, so debit balance. Commission received, income, so credit balance. Commission paid, expense, so debit balance, tax and insurance expense, debit balance, sales account revenue, so credit balance, interest paid, payment means it is a debit balance because it is expense, interest received, credit balance because it is income. Then cash in hand, asset, so debit balance, printing and stationery expenses, so debit balance, postage and telegrams expenses, so debit balance. So after preparing this 7th trial balance, answer you should get 5,02,000. Okay, the next 8th one, from the following ledger account balances prepare trial balance as on 31/3/2014. Okay, capital account credit balance, then drawings account expense, so debit balance, stock account asset, so debit balance, cash at bank debit balance because it is asset. Okay, cash in hand asset, so debit balance, loan from Kiran credit balance because it is a liability, machinery asset, so debit balance, furniture asset, so debit balance, debtors account asset, so debit balance, creditors liability credit balance. Then purchases, it is expense, so debit balance, discount allowed loss for us, so debit balance, sales returns debit balance, purchase returns credit balance. Then sales revenue credit balance, carriages account expenses, so debit balance, printing and stationery expenses, so debit balance, rent and taxes, it is also expense, so which shows debit balance, salary account which shows debit balance because it is expense, advertisement also expenses, so which shows debit balance for you. And after preparation of trial balance with the help of this balances, you will get 5,60,000 both the side. Okay, it means both the column debit and credit. Then we will see 9th one, from the following ledger account balances prepare trial balance as on 31/3/2013. Capital account which shows credit balance, discount received credit balance because it is an income, drawings expense, so debit balance, bills receivable asset, so debit balance, creditors account liability, so credit balance, furniture account asset, so debit balance, insurance expense, so debit balance it is, rent expense, so again it is debit balance, commission received income, so it is credit balance, debtors account asset, so debit balance, bills payable liability, so which shows credit balance, loan to Rakesh, it is asset. Okay, so loan to means we have given a loan to him, so it is asset, so which shows debit balance, stock asset, so debit balance, cash in hand asset, so it shows debit balance, purchases account debit because it is a expense, salary account expense, so debit balance, plant and machinery asset, so it is a debit balance, interest paid expense, so debit, sales returns debit, traveling expenses, it is a expense, so debit, sales account revenue, so credit balance, purchase returns account credit, bank overdraft liability, so it is a credit balance. So after preparation of this trial balance, 9th one, both side grand total you should get 4,80,000. Then last homework sum. Okay, after further sums what you have 11, 12, 13, 14, if you want you can go for practice. Okay, if you solve 10 till 10th problem it is enough. Okay, so capital account you have 10th problem, capital account credit balance, drawings it is a expense, so debit balance, land and building asset, so debit balance, purchases account expense, so debit balance, stock asset, so debit balance, sales revenue, so credit balance, sales returns debit balance, wages expenses, so debit balance, purchase returns credit balance, plant and machinery asset, so debit balance, discount earned income, so credit balance, discount allowed debit balance because it is a loss, commission debit because it is a expense, furniture asset, so debit balance. Okay, see amount I wanted to change here. Okay, first one in your problem they have given 12,000, make it 22,000, and here it is 90,000, make it 1 lakh, and here it is 32,000. Okay, so bills payable it is a liability, so credit balance, bills receivable asset, so debit balance, salary account expense, so debit balance, debtors account expense, so debit balance, sorry asset, so debit balance, creditors liability, so credit balance, advertisement it is an expense, so debit balance, printing and stationery expenses, so debit balance, interest paid Okay, expense, so it shows debit balance. Cash in hand, expense, so debit balance. Bank overdraft account, credit side. Okay, credit balance because it is a liability. Tax and insurance account, debit because it is an expense. Postage and telegrams, debit because expense. Investment account, asset, so debit. Expenses account, as it says, expenses, so which shows debit balance for you. And total you should get after preparing trial balance 2,84,500. Okay, if you have any doubt in homeworks, you can get it clarified, then you can sort it out. Okay, as I said, till 10th problem if you solve it is enough. Okay, further problems you can go for practice. Okay.